Welcome back. You are watching extended coverage of the hostage situation in Sydney's CBD. Controversial self-styled sheikh, Man Monis, has been revealed as the gunman at the centre of the siege, which is taking place right now at the Lint Cafe in Martin Place. He has a long criminal history, and here is what we know about him. He is a self-styled radical Muslim leader who came to Australia from Iran as a refugee in 1996.
He gained infamy for sending hate mail to the families of Australian troops killed in action as a protest against their presence in Afghanistan. He eventually pleaded guilty to 12 charges over the campaign.
He again attracted the attention of the law last year when he allegedly organised the murder of his ex-wife, Nolene Pal. She was stabbed to death and set on fire at a Western Sydney apartment block.
In April this year, he was charged with sexually assaulting 7 women while working as a spiritual healer. 6 months later, he was charged with an additional 40 offences. He is currently on bail and due to appear in court in February.
Now we'll go to an update on the transport situation for Sydney this morning. Road closures remain in place right across the CBD as this police operation is still very much ongoing. Now those areas include sections of Elizabeth and Macquarie Streets. Most public transport will run as normal later this morning, but there are some minor changes to some buses and trains, and that is as a result of the current road closures in the city. So commuters are being warned that traffic will be heavy tomorrow as a result of those closures. So passengers and motorists are advised to allow extra time travel. And as the incident and the situation may change, passengers should also check livetraffic.com and transportnewsouthwales.info for the latest information before they begin their journey. But of course, they are being told, do go into the city unless you work in that exclusion zone. If you do work in that zone, stay at home, but anywhere else you should keep your plans as normal, so not to panic.
Australia now joins an unenviable group of countries that have experienced acts of terror on home soil. Islamic extremists have waged war on the West with devastating consequences. The most notorious attack, of course, in New York on September the 11th, 2001. Nine's US correspondent Christina Hearn reports.
9/11 forever etched in American history. 2 hijacked passenger planes taking aim at New York's iconic Twin Towers. A country watched in disbelief as they came crashing down to earth. A 3rd plane hit the Pentagon, a 4th crashed in a field in Pennsylvania before hijackers could reach yet another target. In all, over 3,000 people died as Osama bin Laden became America's public enemy #1. Just a year later, Australia had its own bitter taste of terrorism when 3 bombs were detonated in a popular party night spot in Bali. 202 people perished, 88 of them Australians. Most young people out celebrating in the prime of their life, the target of Islamic extremists Jemaah Islamiyah. The group struck again a few years later, 4 more Australian lives taken too soon. Australians were again caught up in terror when 3 suicide bombers detonated devices on 3 different trains travelling through the London Underground. A 4th suicide bomb exploded on a double-decker bus, 1 Australian among the 52 people dead. A country further sickened when it was revealed the attack was carried out by homegrown British Islamic extremists. Terror again rattled America when 2 brothers detonated bombs at the finish line of the Boston Marathon last year. And recently, a lone gunman struck at the heart of Canada's capital, killing a soldier before he was shot dead in Ottawa's Parliament. In the United States, Christina Hearn, 9 News.
Muslim community leader Keysar Trad has condemned the siege, and he spoke to 9 News a little earlier.
The events from this morning have been crazy, really. There's no other word to describe them. And this person and the demands that we've heard from him, there's something wrong there. Clearly, this person is not normal. And my heart goes out to the hostages and their families, and we're praying very earnestly that these hostages will be released safely and will be back with their families. And hopefully put this episode behind them. But this is a terrible thing to happen, and we are just as curious to find the answers for this as anybody else.
One of the hints in terms of motivation was that ominous sign, that flag. What does it mean? Why do you think it was used?
Look, it's very unfortunate that today if somebody wants to take the world stage, all they have to do is get a banner with Arabic writing on it and display that banner, and all of a sudden you've got the world stage. I'm getting calls from media all over the world. So if that's what the person wanted, certainly getting that banner was his way to get the publicity. What that banner says on it, from the images that we've seen on TV, it says that there's no God except God and Muhammad is a messenger of God. It's one of the core beliefs of the Islamic religion. But whether this person is a Muslim or not, we don't know. Whether he has any level of devotion to the religion. What he's done from an Islamic perspective is blasphemy. It's also a crime. If there was a genuine, I suppose, Islamic State, inverted commas, this person would be the first one to be prosecuted for what he's done. But at the moment, we seem to be living in crazy times where crazy people can do something like this. And I'm very heartened by the message from the authorities, from the Prime Minister, the Premier, the Police Commissioner. Our first priority is the safety of the hostages, and our prayers are for the safety of these hostages.
Obviously, we've seen an outpouring of support and as well as grief, obviously, with the situation that's happening with the hostages. From a community point of view, tell us about the response there.
The first thing I saw this morning when I left my meeting with the police before we
because that was actually unrelated, wasn't it?
It was unrelated completely to this matter, or we believe it was unrelated. I went... in the street, I saw some people at one of the local shops, and Muslims, from members of the Muslim, they're all in shock. What's happening? This cannot be done in our name. This person's crazy. How dare they suggest that they're even Muslim to be doing something like this? And there was so much anger against this person from ordinary Muslims, so much anger and outrage, and people were just appalled by what he's done. But again, like the Police Commissioner said, our first priority is the safety of the hostages. We want these people to be safe, to be rescued, to go out to their families. The motivation of this person is something that we can deal with later. I do hope that they catch him and they do find what would make a person do something like this.
The anger you're talking about from the community, that's why we are seeing in Brisbane, in Sydney tonight and in Victoria, these prayer sessions where people from the community are coming together.
Certainly people are coming together to pray for the safety of the hostages and for their families, and we're all praying that they will be released sooner rather than later, released or rescued. But the anger is directed at this person, and what would motivate a person to do something like this? The hostage taker has provoked so much anger and condemnation justifiably from within the community, what it has also done is it has shown people that we have to band together as an Australian society. We cannot allow evil to win.
Because it paints this one, as you say, crazy man using this flag, paints, and it has to be said, it paints a bad picture, and that is obviously the fear tonight.
Look, it certainly paints a bad picture, but like the Police Commissioner said, our first priority is the safety of the people. The picture is a secondary issue. When human safety is at risk, that takes a priority over our image. So we're praying for the safety of these people, we know, we've seen the resilience of our community, of our Australian society. We've seen positive messages from many Australians. Yes, we have seen some negative messages. We have seen some threats, but we have also seen a lot of positive messages of support from people, and that is what makes Australia great, the positive messages of support.
You'd rather focus, obviously, on the positive, not so much the negative, but is there any concern tonight that we may see tensions flare up because of what's going on?
Look, I'm hoping that the tensions will be contained. I'm hoping that calm heads will prevail. Certainly the messages coming from our political leaders and from our police officials have been positive messages, and I do hope that people take heed of these messages. We certainly don't want to see police resources stretched at a time when they're trying to save the hostages. We don't need to see ordinary citizens committing crimes, responding to an evil by committing another evil. That certainly does not help, and it's not where we want to be as a nation. They would be playing right into the hands of those terrorists who are trying to recruit our children and take them away to a war zone. And we keep hearing news about some of these young people going over there dying in those areas. Well, that's not what any of us wants. So let's not play into the hands of these people. Let's focus on the safety of the hostages. Let's keep praying for their release. The joint prayers from people from all faith backgrounds, not just from Muslims. That is who we are as Australians. This is the solidarity that we need to continue to show. And it is this very solidarity that will defeat the evil that's being played out there.
Because it's got to make you angry to see this sort of scene again.
Well, it makes us very angry, and we had a family discussion about this earlier today, and everyone in my family is also outraged at this. They're really horrified that somebody would come and do this and then claim to have any association with our religion. All one has to do is look at verse number 208 of chapter 2 in the Koran, which says, embrace every aspect of peace. How can you relate that to our religion? This has got nothing to do with us, but we want to be part of the solution. And in the meeting this morning, as events unfolded and we realised that there was this unrelated situation taking place, we said to the authorities, our resources are at your disposal, use them at your discretion. Anything that we could offer to bring an end to this, we're happy to offer it, whether it be some of our leaders taking the risk in going in there and talking to this person.
Yeah, I was going to say, have they asked you specifically for any help at this stage?
Well, they haven't. They've given the reassurance, as you've seen in the interviews, that they've got the best negotiators in the world to do this. It is rather unfortunate that Sheikh Hilali is out of the country, but he's had success in negotiating a hostage situation in Iraq in the past. If he was here, he would also offer all his resources to try and get the release of these hostages. But there are others, there are many other people in the community, mature people who can help if the police believe that they can be of help. But again, I trust the wisdom and the ability of the security service that we have, of the police and of the state police and the federal police to guide us as to what is the best way to tackle this situation. This is now a police matter, and we're happy to basically honour their request.
Okay, and we are going to throw to a break now, but we will be back straight after the break with more on this unfolding situation, the siege which is happening in Martin Place in Sydney. Back very soon.